Can you believe that we're starting season 4?
I can't remember what moment it was, whether it was watching the first episode together. I think it was a few days ago when we uploaded everything for season 3, that it's not just that we're starting 4, it's that 3 is officially done. Like, it sounds cheesy to say, but like even thinking of it now, I got little like tingles, little like goosebumps.
I feel like 3 seasons is like, it's a lot. It's milestone worthy.
I had a weird thought, and it's the fact that we are now 1/5 of the way through.
Oh no, I don't like that at all.
We just have to do this 4 more times, and the show is over, which is really scary.
It feels like both huge and really tiny.
Like, this felt like a whole experience. This is over a year of work together. This has evolved so much in that time, and Lord knows it will continue to evolve. But to think that we just did something that just needs to be basically repeated a few more times, and we complete 15 seasons of this show, of this podcast, of this production, is weirdly frightening.
I absolutely agree with you.
To remind our listeners, season 3, we adjusted our lore segments to focus on one aspect of the lore of the episode. Near the end of the seasons, we started to experiment a little bit with some storytelling, which I really enjoyed doing and will definitely be doing more of.
That's really exciting because honestly, it's something that I've really enjoyed listening to on a week-to-week basis. Like, I know what you're going to talk about, but I never know the actual story. So whenever I'm listening, I'm always like, oh, it's really dark outside. It's really creepy.
Well, I will try to do my best to keep it equal parts lighthearted, equal parts horrifying.
I'm counting on you for that. That's wonderful. The second thing that we did in season 3 was to add a little moment at the end of Critical Time for us to kind of reflect on the episode and to share something that we felt called to do.
Yeah, so this was one of the big changes that really had me, I feel like worried is the wrong word, but it was daunting. I always felt so pressured to come up with something. Like, I would see that blank space in our documentation and feel so like, what do I say? And then like something would just hit me like a train and it would just flow so naturally and so easily. And I'll admit there are some times where it's literally like right before we hit record and it hits me. Other times I know it the second I see it in the episode, but it has been an incredibly positive change. I truly have come to love that section, even if it still scares me every time.
The reflection and call to action is kind of like the natural conclusion of the type of analysis that we do on this podcast, where we kind of look at like the story, we look at how it was made, we look at like what it means, we take a deeper look. But to complete the loop here, it is really to kind of like ask ourselves, what does this mean for us? Because at the end of the day, that's what fiction is about. It's about giving us this space to reflect on ourselves and the world around us. And of course, one of the things that's been a constant for us since season 2 has been our Discord server, where listeners can discuss the podcast or Supernatural, the TV show, or fan fiction, whatever ongoing conventions are happening at the time, or also just a bunch of other stuff.
And of course, if you are a patron, do make sure to join the Discord server so we can chat. It is just so much fun. I look forward to jumping on every day and just seeing whether it be incredibly serious and heartfelt conversation or silly puppy pics, it's no matter what, it's always a magical and great place to be and find people to connect with. And if you're not a patron yet, you should check out our Patreon page at patreon.com/carryingwayward. Seriously, some of the conversations we get into there are just ridiculous and so much fun and great. You are missing out.
It's always a pleasure to get onto that Discord server, frankly. Would you like to start telling us a little bit about our changes for season 4?
So in season 4, we're going to lean into the storytelling lore segments. It's been so much fun. It's allowed me to flex my creativity, which is much more up my alley compared to the research side of things, although there is still research being done. So this will allow for a more unique take on sharing the lore behind the show's creatures and mythology, while allowing me to flex that creative muscle, have a little more fun, and bring something to the show that no other show is really doing right now.
I'm very excited about this. Now, this next change is kind of a big one, and we're really eager to talk about it. We are ditching the Crossroads deals as we know it. And I know that this is a big deal because this is something that's been following us since season 1, but rest assured, we are not taking it away entirely. We're basically moving it to story time. where we're going to discuss what we think was the main crossroads decision for Sam and Dean during the episode. Like, what decision did they make that had the biggest impact on how the episode unfolded? And sometimes that can be a decision that they make together, or sometimes it'll be decisions that they make separately. And we're really hoping that by doing that, we're going to get more to the core of what the episode is about.
While it's been a really fun game to play, and I think we may still keep it around in other forms, like I know on live shows we might still do it for the sake of the audience getting to vote, and someone winning 2 coffees that are still owed. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Yes, I know, don't worry.
But yeah, I always sort of felt like we were holding off on bringing up certain subjects, whether it be in critical time or in story time, because we felt we had to save them for this crossroads section, that it kind of took away from other segments of the show. So by doing this, it's going to allow us to be a little more mindful and covering more subjects where they need to be covered.
I sincerely think that this is the best thing to do at this point because it didn't really bring anything to the show anymore. I was wondering, Drew, if you had any resolutions for season 4.
I'm taking on a pretty fun new task in this season. As much as I enjoyed exploring last season with writing some more creative writing angles for the lore segments, having to write one every week and come up with something new every time with whatever the episode has to bring is going to be a big challenge, both from the writing side and the research side. So I am looking forward to pushing myself further with those to try to find new and different ways to make them stand out from each other. And I'm also looking to seeing about how we can maybe play with them in the editing space as well a little bit. We'll have to wait and hear that.
Yes, soundscaping perhaps.
That's where I was going. What do you got for this season?
So for seasons 2 and 3, I had used steps of the hermeneutic wager as my resolutions. For season 2, I wanted to kind of leave more space for imagination, if we remember where I was mentally at that moment. And then in season 3, I wanted to focus a bit more on humility. Clearly that did not work. I say this as a joke. I really did work on it. And then the next step in the hermeneutic wager is commitment, which, as we've discussed at the very top of this episode, is definitely needed when we're starting season 4 out of a 15, I was going to say 5, out of a 15 season show. But beyond that, I think that for me this season, commitment is going to have to look a lot like focusing on episode prep with our new accelerated recording schedule. I am a little nervous about that, but it also means that we're going to be able to see through some of those special episodes or minisodes that we've been wanting to make for so long. We have a bunch of ideas, but we just need the time to be able to do those. So by committing to the accelerated recording schedule, then I can focus on creating some new and fresh content and episodes for us to kind of be a part of. So hopefully it all works out. We can just make more episodes for our listeners.
Well, I'm sure it'll work, but it does sound like we have a lot of work to do.
Yes, we do. Let's get this show on the road.
Let's do it. Mwah, mwah. Shall I dive into the actual talking points now?
That's what I thought you were going to do.
Oh, sorry. I was making sure there's nothing else you wanted to cover first. Okay.